All right, so let's go through what I call my typical chord progression, or typical changes that I would play over rhythm changes. Let me just go ahead and play for you. I'm going to play it down an octave. I a lot of times like, especially if I'm going to be accompanying someone else, playing the chords, down in here rather than, too high. It's like that gets to sound a little too high for me. I like playing more in the meat of the piano. This is a little bit low, but it still functions okay. So I go to a 1 chord, G7 altered, C minor 7, and either an F7 altered or even just a plain old F7 chord. I'll mix that up, go altered or regular. Do that again. And then F minor, B flat 7, E flat major 7. Now check this out. A flat dominant 7th here, okay? It's a little bit different than going to 4 minor, right? So instead it's taking that E flat and going up to its dominant there, right? Okay. So, well, I say going up to its dominant. Really what this is a flat 7-7, okay? Rather than playing a 4 minor, go to that A flat dominant 7th chord. Notice also, there's your 4 minor chord. See how close that is to A flat dominant 7th anyway? It's just an A flat sus. Okay. And then D minor, G7 altered, C minor, F7 altered. Now, you can also do this, where you go 1, 5, 7, or 2, 2, 5, 3, or the alteration. So D minor, G7, C minor, F7, and then 2, 5 of 4, flat 7, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5. A lot of times I'll say 3, 6, 2, 5, even though it's a dominant, just because to say 3, 5, 7 of 2, 2, 5, 7 of 1 kind of gets a little bit much in the tongue there, okay? So it makes it a little bit easier. But realize that if you hear me say 6, but you see that it's a dominant 7th chord, it's a 5, 7 of something. And in the second ending, C minor to F7 or an altered. And then don't worry, we're going to get into the B section pretty soon, about another 2 or 3 chapters, right? So again, you can mix and mingle these. So one thing that I like to do is I like to do like a 5, 7, or 2, 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5. And then so what I did there is 1 G7, C minor, F7, 3, 5, 7, and 2, 2, 5, 7, and 1. And then 2, 5, all right? So F minor, B flat 7, E flat major up to A flat 7, and then 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5. So I actually change it around a little bit, rather than going there. Rather than doing that, I'll do that kind of bluesy gospel version that we did a couple of chapters back. Now, if you're just doing that bass line, you start improvising around with that. Like I said, I'm going to talk about improvisation on a whole separate lesson because there's a lot to get into in terms of improv with this. But if I just start improvising around, anyway, my point is that I'm starting to move in between all of these different variations. Actually, some of them I haven't even gotten into yet. We're going to talk about them in the next couple of chapters. But that's just taking the baseline. Now, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, okay, let me go over here, or let me go over here, right? Let me do a different change. I actually even ended up not even doing the B section for one of them. If you're playing by yourself, you can kind of mess around and, just have some fun with it. It doesn't matter if you stay with the strict form. But when you're practicing, it would be good for you to practice the strict form, the AABA form, so that you get it straight and you don't mess it up. Like I said, we will talk about some improvisation. If you want a real quick step to get going with your improvisation, start with your G minor pentatonic scale. I'm going to explain why in the next lesson, but you can try messing around with that. Right, so that was all G minor pentatonic. You can try messing around with that while you're waiting for me to get that next lesson together for you. All right, so anyway, those are my typical changes. Try incorporating those into all of the other ones, and when we come back, I'll talk about some sub-5 changes. See you in a second.